Hello and welcome to the Every Other Saturday podcast for a brand new episode this week where Rangers once again fail in the old firm fixture, fail to get the victory and oversee Celtic winning another league title with the same players culpable for their actions once again. Aye, a really kind of dismal day on Saturday. I think going into the game when we spoke about it last week, we had no hope that we were going to get anything out of it. I think it's just as soon as you see the players in the tunnel coming out to the pitch, you start to then think, right, we're in a game here, back the team, and same old game really. So we'll talk about it. Then we'll go on to the Dundee game, which literally means absolutely nothing anymore. Um, and I think that will be a very poorly attended game at Ibrox. People maybe scanning their season tickets to get the Migers points and then going to the pub, and I do not blame them
Aye.
one bit. We'll talk about all this stuff that unfurled on Saturday, give our thoughts about it, the direction of the club, and what happens next, and then obviously go into that Dundee game. So if you could like, subscribe, and share, always very much appreciated. So as we said, obviously last week, um, we're talking about this game. We have no hope that we're going to do anything in it. I think the last couple of Old Firm games this season have absolutely shattered not only our confidence going into the fixture, but the players' confidence as well. I mean, Celtic must relish every single time they have to play us because it's just a guaranteed victory, really. Like, again, on Saturday, you could make the argument that Clement didn't pick the right team, or he maybe should have played players that were on the bench. Obviously, had a kind of massive injury list and stuff, but the players still need to turn up on the pitch and actually show a bit of something. And I think that's probably the damning kind of result of the whole thing for me is we're beat for the first second. I mean, if you look at John Lundstrom's interview on Rangers TV before the game, pre-match interview, or weather the storm and try and keep it tight for 20 minutes. Why are we going to sit back at Celtic Park? Why not just take the game to them for once? Why not just try and be on the front foot and play like a team that is actually supposed to be challenging for a league title? Celtic just toyed about with us, just played about with us until they found their moment. And Matt O'Reilly, as you've brought up in this still image, you see where they pick up the ball initially before this attack. Tavernier just gives the ball away, just under really no pressure at all. Just keep the ball, keep it moving, gives away the ball. Celtic then go on the attack. I believe that's Alistair Johnston with the ball. Um, and I just look at how out of position we are in that area. Lundstrom pointing at whoever. I mean, your midfielder there, who even is that? Is that Davies? Don't know. Try to follow the man. Um,
It's
aye,
Barisic, man.
yeah, there's
Aye,
that
mate, I don't know,
Barisic. You
man.
can't really make out for the players, but obviously you can see
It's,
Lundstrom's pointing. It's just aye,
I,
it's a bit of a disaster.
these are obviously just some images I hanged, but I mean, I just think it sums it up. Look at the space there. And I mean, the fact that a simple pass like that just cuts us open there. Three of them just standing still. Aye, man, I mean, yeah, again, you just go there and as I said to you, I was last episode you'd be hiding behind the couch and it wasn't a question if we were going to win the game, it was a question of how many goals were Celtic going to score because you just know time and time again these players don't turn up at Celtic Park. And it's you just knew what you were in for. And it was, as I say, obviously Lundstrom talking about 20 minutes. I said that as well in the podcast. I thought, you know what the storm's going to be for the first sort of kind of 20. You weather that, you get into it, but it's the same all the time. We get into the game, we just can't put the ball into the box. We can't finish, can't take our chances. Two chances, I think Fabio Silva had the wee header. It's got to be a wee diving header there for me. And then the one where it just cuts across the box, but. I just think to myself, do you know what I mean? It's honestly it's time that a lot of these lads do hit the road. But even in that, I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking to myself, what is Barisic doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is Barisic doing there? And look at the
It's just
space. Look at the space that's
so
there.
out of
And
position in it. It's
the,
just it's
the,
awful.
the frustrating thing is, as I say, like, there's another one where you obviously clicked it. What have you? This one, aye, that one here. Go to that one. Go back to that one. Sorry, mate.
This one.
That one there. Why are we letting Matt O'Reilly have that kind of space there? That's where Matt O'Reilly wants to be. He wants to receive that ball there and have a dig on goal.
Well, think
I mean,
about how many times he actually got the ball and had a dick a goal as
aye,
well, and was that Butland's corner near enough every time where he scored into as well. He's aiming for
I'm
there.
sure.
And aye,
I'm
this
sure
was
when
the
you
first
can.
minute again as
Aye.
well. Just a complete, just puts you completely under pressure. For that moment on, it was aye. You just knew we weren't getting in for the game.
I mean, as I said to you, I was saying to you, obviously, when we were watching it, I mean that in a joke, but I'm starting to wonder if it was actually real. I genuinely think John Lundstrom had honestly, I thought the boy had a bet on himself. He's got a bet on himself here, but honestly, with that performance, you wouldn't be shocked. An own goal and a red card. I mean,
Aye,
it's uh, it's shocking, but as I say, to give Matt O'Reilly that space there is where he wants to be, receiving the ball. And Barisic, with I mean, the defending again, just cowards defending.
it's just he doesn't want to. I get in the box. You don't want to go and then commit to a tackle and then give away a penalty. But he needs to be stronger when he's so easy to get by. To make up your mind, he's literally forcing you to pass to O'Reilly, who's free every time. And obviously they ended
Made
up
for it, mate.
Suter hit off him, and then Butland made a good save at
Oh,
that moment. But I really, really poor start to the game. Obviously, then Matt O'Reilly comes through with that one, and then basically straight after the restart, Maeda, you know what he's going to be like up against Tavernier and Lundstrom. As you were saying there, I don't understand. Where does he try to put that ball? He's not hit it with any force to kick out for a corner. Where's he going to pass it back to Butland, who then can't pick it up? I don't know what Lundstrom's trying to do here. I don't know if he's just trying to get contact on the ball to divert it anyway. It just seems a total disaster to go again. Especially, again, going 1-0 down, you think you would kind of regroup and try and cut out the shenanigans. But Celtic straight up the pitch again, 2-0. Lundstrom pointing at whoever, I believe it was Willie Collum, for blocking his run, for what I've seen on Twitter today. But poor in terms of that standpoint. Going on to the rest of the side, then obviously at the start of the game, I do believe Philippe Coman has obviously not get a great amount of options to pick for, but I don't know why he doesn't try and do something different when he's clearly not get any wingers really. He's not get much options in the back line. It just seems like right, I'm playing this way, you need to play there kind of thing. We're not going to adjust anything to suit anybody. That game should have had Tom Lawrence and Todd Cantwell on the pitch at the same time at a point in the game. I don't mean directly for the start, but at some point Todd Cantwell should have been on that pitch, and that is the thing I'm really kind of disgusted by with Philippe Clement is the treatment of Todd Cantwell. How in this game, I get obviously as the game went on, 10 men, and you would maybe fancy other people to kind of bring on and try and get a result out of it, but why is Todd Cantwell not starting this game or getting any minutes in it whatsoever? That is really, really concerning to me. And I think maybe he sees his future away for the club, or maybe Clement also does. It's just really kind of telling for me that he doesn't get any minutes on the pitch. Just don't know what to make of
well,
that.
I said last episode he would play Lawrence over him. He seems to be fair Lawrence over Campbell in these kind of games here. I don't know why. And I don't understand why, as I say, he picks Lawrence over Campbell sometimes, really.
Like his Lawrence again, just non-existent.
Non-existent in this game, and as you say, you go down obviously to 10 men, and whatever you maybe look at other options, but I would also say you've got nothing to lose, so just throw them on. We literally had nothing to lose, just you go out, throw them on, take what you can for it. But I just didn't understand at all why Campbell wasn't starting or even an option to come on. Same as you, keep up with two of them on. But aye, man, it's maybe one of them where I'm similar to you there. I do think maybe Cantwell might be starting looking at his options because these are the big games. These are the games as a player you're signed to play for Rangers. You want to play in, or I mean, you should want to play in. Do you know what I mean? These are
Well,
the games.
look at the difference in the last game than when Cantwell came on. In that first half, we were basically the exact same as we were here. Just
Mm.
there was absolutely nothing happening. There was no players getting tight to anybody, biting back at the Celtic players. It was just taking it and fucking moving on. Um, Similar again to here, Cal McGregor basically allowed to go and mouth off to anybody without a Rangers player coming screaming in his face. I would expect that from a team to kind of stand up for themselves a wee bit, but they get bullied again in that department.
Mm.
Todd Cantwell comes on the previous game, the three each game at Ibrox, and gives you that. He gives you a bit of
That right.
gives you a bit of bite in the midfield. Somebody that you can actually go and look to and think, right, this guy's going to take us up the pitch and he's going to actually fucking try and do something to get the victory. Like, you're looking at that side. Obviously, I put the how I felt directly after the game on Twitter about every single one of these players in this game, but you're looking at obviously it's not ideal that Ben Davies has had to come in and play, but probably one of the better players that he had to then go and play alongside Suter and then basically be the only centre half against Dujon Sterling when we had 10 men. So you're looking at him. He had a decent game. Diomande, a lot of people went back and forth. I think he was all right in the game, nothing too major. Maybe I need a bit more for him again. Lawrence, non-existent. Fabio Silva, for all the criticism he's took, really put in a shift. Really looked like the guy that wanted to make the impression, make the difference in the game. Sterling for out on the right hand side, don't think he get much joy, but at centre half, I thought he was brilliant. Um, and Cyril Dessers up front obviously gets his back into the game with that goal directly after. It was quite a mad kind of 5 minutes spell. Uh, Done really well for that goal, similar to Joe Garner's years and years ago with the
I was about to
header,
say,
obviously, that we mentioned at the time. But gets you back into the game at that point. You're thinking, right, just get to half time, regroup, maybe make some changes and go for it second half. Because I think even though Celtic did have a large kind of amount of domination in the game and they spread the ball about well and they looked at the team that was going to be in the ascendancy and causes issues, we still hung in. We still got to kind of have a couple opportunities. It was just simple panic on the ball again, like every one of these fixtures and previous. And that's kind of what's let us down. But to get back into the game was nice. And then John Lundstrom just in an absolute moment of madness,
spots it
try and
correctly.
make up for his own goal.
Mm.
I don't know why he never thinks he's getting sent off for that. It's a horrible tackle. The speed that he's coming in at, he knows exactly what he's
Well,
going to do, and it's going to be a sending off. So
I mean, if we were to have Kenny Miller on, he would argue that it's not a red
we'd
card and
probably be
it's.
sitting on this podcast all day if Kenny Miller
I
was here
don't
because he's no
know.
button on that.
I
His
don't know what
opinion
he
anyway.
was smoking there, but it's 100% a red card. I'd like to back him there, but it's 100% a red card. The way he flies in and then, as I say, catches him halfway up the leg there. So I know for me it's a red card. Just to, honestly, his own goal as well. So I think the damage up to yourself there for it, but doesn't even need to touch it. That's one of them where it's just fizzing across the box. Do you know what I mean? Just get your shape back. But 100% a red card. Credit, as you say, to Fabio Silva was about one of the only ones that I felt was actually trying, was looking to try and get on the ball to do something. Also, we were critical of him last time. So, as I say, they must be watching, Jack. They must be like, right, got to perform. These boys are criticising us. No, but Sterling, I thought Sterling was, yet again, probably our best player, man. You know what I mean? To
I
take
think
him,
you see when you just look at somebody that kind of epitomises everything you want a player to be, it's
he
Dujon
exists.
Sterling. It's
Just
kind of
as well.
similar to Cyril Dessers as well.
Mm.
Before we obviously started here, we're talking about a player that obviously had a really kind of tough ask. He leading the line with 10 men, but he never kind of sulks. He never hides. He obviously always asks for the
That's
offsides and the decisions and try and
he,
um, be
he must
passionate
have
in that
been.
kind of way. But
Honestly, he must have been raging at lunchtime because he knows that's his game done after that. You know what I mean? He gets a goal and then you're thinking to yourself, right, maybe we'll get in, and he just comes in with that reckless tackle. But I mean, there's only really, as I say, one or two. I thought Diomande did all right. Also, Willie Coleman is in his face screaming every 5 minutes. That's another thing as well. Like,
just the
just
same
so
with
aggressive
everybody in
towards.
it. What
Just
was his
what
issue?
what are you doing? Why don't you know what I mean? The players are asking simple questions about the game, and he's just screaming at them. I thought he had a shocker and all. Obviously, it's a red card with that thing, but I mean, also we're getting a penalty and what have you, but that was it's
Nah,
never a
it
penalty.
was the red card just killed us really. It was get to half time and then obviously you get Lundstrom sent off and it just kind of throws everything out the window really. That you're going
Yeah.
to come out and try and obviously take the game to Celtic in the second half. I really poor for Lundstrom, and that'll be the last time we ever see him in a Rangers shirt. Hopefully, if he's selected for this cup final
You know, well, and
in
that's the thing that
2 weeks, it's
annoys
going to
me.
be telling for me.
Annoys me is the fact that see after the game the manager was still back them. You need to think of the good stuff he's done for the club in recent months and all this, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what's he done?
You notice that with the manager
What's he
though a lot
done?
of the time. See, even with the kind of stuff he says about Cantwell and that, and then Cantwell's dropped the next game, and I just
I
feel like he
also he's
puts
been
on a face to the media really, and I
praised
don't
by,
think
but
we ever
also he's
really
got to
get to
back his.
see him kind of be not truthful. Obviously, he's speaking for what he's
He's got to
experiencing,
back
but
his players. I get that, but at the same time, yet again, what has Lundstrom done? Do you know what I mean? Lundstrom's, as I say, he's living off that gold. Do you know what I mean? It's
Lundstrom is literally just been he's been solid enough for all the games of this season, and then when it started coming to the point where you had to grind and be up for it, he was
that
nowhere to
sums
be
the team
seen
up, that
because
doesn't it?
that just kind of it sums his time up because he's always been stop start. He's had good periods, he's had bad periods, and that's kind of been what it's been like for John Lundstrom. It's unbelievable that we've actually persisted with the guy for that long, but Aye, time's going to be up for him. I said it at the time when all the stuff's coming out about him going to Trabzonspor and that should have been his minutes limited by that point. Why are we still relying on that guy to be our main starting midfielder when he's already had talks with our club? He knows where he's going to be playing next season. Why is he going to care about what's happening right now? Because he's not cared when he's been under contract for the past couple of years. Aye, really frustrating game for John Lundstrom, and it's just left me really embarrassed for not only him but everybody on that pitch and the manager for, I say, having to come out and defend the guy. Um, but that'll be him. He's obviously going to be straight red card. He's out the next two league games. The only game he can possibly play in is a cup final. If Clement plays him, he's doing himself no favours. Nobody wants to see this guy play again. It's about players that are going to be here. Why would you want to jeopardise again getting some success and a trophy and getting one over on your rivals and be playing guys that aren't going to be here? The game finishes and he's off to Turkey. Like, play guys that are going to be here. Play guys that actually want to be here, and that's kind of what happened in the second half. Nicholas Raskin came on and he looked like a guy that wanted to make that impression for the manager. He looked like the guy that wanted to play, and it was obviously a tough spell for him to come into the game. As you say, we're kind of operating with two banks of four and one up front. It was kind of just lump the ball up and see what kind of happens at that point. But he grew into the game really nicely. A lot of good defensive work as well. And it just begs the question to me is why is he not been given an opportunity more often? I know when he started games and we played poor, you maybe look at the guy that's not played that often and he's the scapegoat. But I really don't get why we were persisting so long with a one-dimensional midfielder like John Lundstrom when you had a guy that can be dynamic in the middle of the pitch like Nicholas Raskin. It was again really annoying.
Frustrating, mate. As I say, Raskin, he comes on and he actually, as you say, put a shift in, actually played for the jersey. Honestly, I don't understand why he's not been playing. It's a question I would love to ask the manager. What is Nico Raskin doing in training that you don't rate him? What's same, I would just also ask him the same with Cantwell as well. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause I don't think he rates Cantwell at all, but especially with Raskin, to me it's mind-boggling why he's not playing. It's a guy who obviously you say he's going to be here next season. You want to give him the opportunity to play over this donkey who, you know what I mean, as you say, he's already on holiday. He's away to the beach. He knows where he's going to get his wage. He knows what he's going to be doing next season. It's just I don't get it at all whatsoever, man.
Nah, and obviously we kind of huffed and puffed. We had large parts of the game where we had Celtic kind of penned in. We were the kind of team that were obviously asking the questions, but we weren't asking enough questions. It was really poor deliveries into the box, poor opportunities at goal.
Mate,
Aye,
we were just giving them possession. You know what I mean? It's the same all the time. We just invited it on ourselves. You know what I mean? We're really just saying to Celtic, right, take the ball and try and break us down. You know what I mean? And as I said, you give the freedom to Matt O'Reilly to play, to actually play his games. Do you know what I mean? Who's been Celtic's best player this season? He's linked with the big moves away. Do you know what I mean? To let a guy like that actually play to me is just crazy.
aye, and
What
it's
the guy,
been the
huh?
past couple of times that Clement hasn't really learned for the first Old Firm game he played, where we're kind of still stuck with the same formation, playing the same players in it, giving the same players for Celtic freedom in the ball, and I don't understand why 3 games in a row that's been the same common theme. How have we not learned for the first one, for instance? And I kind of obviously it raises a lot of question marks for a lot of people with Philippe Clement because these games are where it's won and lost. Obviously,
I get it. I get it with the manager, like question with the team and all that kind of thing as well. But see, at the end of the day as well, the players he's picked, they've got to step up and they've got to put the shift in. They've got to put the performance in. Do you know what I mean? I understand that you can have the criticisms and say, right, the manager's not learned and what have you. But neither of these players are all. And if anybody's evidence of that, look at Tavernier. You know what I mean? Guy's not learned whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? So, aye.
aye. And then of course, the penalty that we'll touch on briefly. Start of the second half, Diomande and Matt O'Reilly coming into a bit of a collision. You look at it straight away, you're like, right, it's a penalty. You look at it back in the replays, you're like, right, not sure. You kind of then wait for the referee to go and look at it on VAR, and you can clearly see that Matt O'Reilly kicks Diomande, then kicks the floor. If there's any contact for Diomande, it's so minimal on him anyway that he wouldn't be going over. For me, it's the soft one of the softest penalties I've seen this season. been given and then reviewed by VAR and then still given. I was bewildered when it was still given.
It was never a penalty in your life, man. It's one of them where he's just tried his luck in it and he's ended up getting it. Honestly, the refereeing, as I say again, he couldn't overturn that because he knew the place would be on him if he did. It was never a penalty, mate. Never.
Never a penalty, but Jack Butland obviously poor penalty
Yep.
for Matt O'Reilly in the end, steps up, he saves it. Much like what Jack Butland ended up doing this full game, saved us numerous times, obviously with the own goal and the Matt O'Reilly one. You kind of hold your hands up. It's nothing much he can really do. It's a good strike for O'Reilly. It's a stupid moment for Lundstrom, but I think out with that, Butland was really good again. But we can't be relying on our goalkeeper to keep being the best player for us every game. I think that's just telling about how this season has went and this fixture. We've just been so far off it, so far off Celtic every time we've played them. Even at home, well, we look like the team that's second best with the support that's there. Like Celtic come here, they know what they have to do, they know how to beat us, and they do it every time. And that's something that has to be rectified next season. It has to be rectified as soon as probably in 2 weeks' time when we play that cup final. It's now or never. You really need to, if Philippe Clement doesn't lead this team to another trophy in beating Celtic, this summer's going to be an absolute riot with people not fully on board with the manager. You cannot really lose or obviously draw one and lose three Old Firm games in a trophy. And the cup final in the meantime. I think that's going to raise a lot of concerns with people in the summer about where we go. But I guess the kind of safety blanket that he has is obviously went on that run for a long period of time. We've now basically we've got one centre half fit now as well. I think the injuries haven't been kind, but managers are always going to be judged on Old Firm games and their performances, and I don't feel like Camont's learned for the last three. So hopefully for the final, whoever's available, we can pull something out of the bag. But with this group of players, I'm not holding my breath because it just seems to be the same old. Like this episode's titled "Old Firm Failures." It's what these players will be remembered for. It's what James Tavernier will be remembered for, stepping off that pitch numerous times and being beat off Celtic. How can he really just still walk onto a pitch and believe that he's a good enough captain for Rangers when he's overseen Celtic win trophy after trophy? We've been embarrassed by them, humiliated by them, beaten by them numerous times under his captaincy. And still the captain, still starts every single game. It's time for these guys to leave the club. I think fans like myself and you and everybody else are now just fed up with us, fed up with the same cycle repeating itself. Obviously, end the season to some degree behind Celtic, rebuild in the summer, look decent in pre-season, drop points in the opening games of the season, manager under pressure, gets sacked in November. You've got another guy coming in and he has to do the exact same thing over and over again with these players. Just not good
That's
enough. And you're looking at guys like, I mean, Scott Wright, if I'm right, will be going into his fourth or fifth season this summer.
that's
For instance, I'm not blaming Scott Wright for anything that's happened at all, but when you look at that, you look at Kemar Roof, who's been here for since COVID. I don't think he's even played 100 games for Rangers in that time. Goldson, Tavernier, Lundstrom, Jack, all of these guys that have obviously been good in periods. I'm not saying they haven't. I'll be thankful for what they've done for the club in their own kind of terms and whatever else, but I'm not thankful for them overseeing so much disappointment and continuing on with the same ways, the same season playing out every year. And I'm just fed up with it now. I just can't be asked having to come on
um,
here every time and basically recite the exact same script about an Old Firm game, about a league season, about how we could be better, and we'll look to towards pre-season when Philippe Clement gets his own players, and it's been the
that-
same for 2 seasons now, and it can't
I mean,
continue. Who do you blame for it though? Like for coming to you, like obviously if you can blame the players all you want, that's where my kind of disappointment lies is with the players that have constantly kind of hung managers out to dry. Really, but there could be other issues, obviously, if you want to.
I mean, well, you go straight to the board, don't you? You know what I mean? You've got to, it's on them, you know what I mean? They've allowed this to go on, you know what I mean? I mean, just before coming on, I'm watching Gerrard's interview when we did win the league title, and he's talking about obviously needing the batting, and then what was it? Something about obviously the sunshine or whatever. But he was talking about the weather or whatever you, but like even you just go back to that and wasn't even properly backed, and then I look at the board. I really do. And I look at them and what they've done. They've allowed this to happen constantly. Do you know what I mean? You just described it perfectly, mate. We know what's going to happen every sort of season now, don't we? Do you know what I mean? Manager's going to get halfway through, get sacked, and you know what I mean. Rebuild again, rebuild it, and it has to stop. Clement has to be the guy for me that we back fully and we
Because
actually
you
bring
can't
in the
keep sacking
players.
managers and the
No,
same
you
players are
can't.
there.
No, exactly, and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the guy thingy, but I want a team of men. I want an actual team of men that actually want to play for Rangers. You know what I mean? Obviously, the manager said he won't let any player run down their contract, which that should never happen again. Personally for for me, but I definitely would like to be seeing some obviously some talent brought in that we know we can sell for a better fee. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that has to be done during the summer. As you said, going into the cup game, it's Everton now for Clement. He's got to win that. As you say, you're judged on the old firms up here. So it's a massive game. It's also a massive game for some of these players, as we've talked about there as well, for their futures. But as you said to me when we were talking last night as well, do you know what I mean? You were talking about, was it Tavernier's goal or what have you? And he was talking about how the one that made him the highest thing we defend and like goal scorer, whatever, that was his favourite. Not the one that won him a trophy for the club. As we see all the time, mate, they're a group of individuals that these lot, they're not a team. You know what I mean? The last time you seen a real Rangers team was the team that won the league. I don't think these lot play for each other. I'll be honest, that's the one thing when watching that Old Firm game, I think myself, you can tell this Celtic team play for each other. You know what I mean? You can tell that they're together, they're a team. They know they've got to go out there and give everything they've got to win, so they've got the title. I don't feel like that way at all. I just feel like they're a group of lads that are just more about self than team. And that's
Nah,
something he's got to change that. He's got to bring in players that want to be at the club for all the right reasons and not the wrong reasons. Do you know what I mean? So I was just he's described it perfectly there, mate. But definitely would say the bold.
nah, no. The board, of course, they've overseen too much
Because
and
you just,
decided to
mate,
then go and build Edmondson House. So
we talk about all the time. You know what I mean? You're getting beaten a game or what have you. Let's just whip out a legend for the lottery and all that. That'll make everybody smile and all that kind of patter. Away you go, and then you even think on it like. I know everyone, you feel kind of bad for going back and forth with Tavernier, but really the guy does himself no favours at all. How is he? Let's be honest. I mean, how is he a Rangers Hall of Famer? Where's the
nah,
where's the where's the real
that's
trophies to
probably
prove
one
it?
of the most embarrassing points of our history is putting him in the Hall of Fame because there's no question about him being a good player for the club and he's dragged us into games. He scored a lot of goals, but this club is about success and it's about team success. It's about winning trophies. It's about being a team that you'll remember.
Exactly.
It's not about one guy scoring 200 goals and being the top goal scoring UK defender or whatever it is. And that's Four Lads Had a Dream. It was a great blog. It was a really passionate article that they put out, basically talking over this game and the issues at the club. And aye, that was something that he mentioned, obviously with Tavernier, and you just kind of look through the rest of the team, and aye, you can just see it's more about individual praise rather than anything else. But if they're all right in their career, that's all that matters. But there's a lot of issues at the club that need to be kind of stamped out, and it
Stop.
has to start in the summer. I'm not saying every single player that we agree with and disagree with is going to leave or whatever, but there has to be a kind of big overhaul in terms of the main guys that at this club that are vice captain, captain. They need to be told, look, you're you can't play here anymore. We'll accept offers, so you put yourself transfer list, you do whatever. I just can't do it with
No,
Tavernier as
I
captain
can't.
anymore. I just cannot.
I
Um,
think everyone's there, mate. Can't watch these lot play football anymore. They've got to go, man.
nah, and probably a good way to then go into the Dundee game because after all with that negativity the weekend, you then have to go to Ibrox for the last game of the season. And normally, last game of the season at Ibrox, it's usually something obviously we're maybe obviously we're going to go into the Scottish Cup final the week after. We've still got something to play for after that, but the league's done. This is basically a friendly we're now playing. The Celtic can wrap up the league in the Wednesday, and we playing tomorrow obviously, and Dundee the last time out, as seen on that photo, was just an absolute disaster. That was probably the nail in the coffin for where we are right now. Um, but we need to pick a team for it. I honestly couldn't really care less. I just kind of more want to see players that haven't really got a chance to kind of go out there and play. With some players I thought played all right at the weekend. I think you'll obviously still have Butland and Tavernier in. If Suter's injured, if Balogun's still injured, throw Leon King in. Just let me see how has he progressed in a season where he's not get a single minute in the pitch, really. How has he progressed? I want to see what we're actually doing with these players to make them ready for the first team. We're
Mm.
never going to know if we don't play them. So I think King deserves a chance to come in and step in next to Davies. Yilmaz will hopefully start. Raskin will be in there next to Diomande. Sterling, I think obviously I don't really prefer him out on the right hand side, but you've got nobody to play. Fabio Silva done himself no harm the other day. Cantwell has to start. Obviously Dessers up front. No doubt this team will turn into prime Barcelona now that we've got no pressure and we've got nothing to play for anymore.
Aye.
So that's when this team play well. But that's the team that I've kind of selected for this game that I really can't be asked watching tomorrow. But aye, it's a
But,
negative
mate,
podcast. It's absolutely pish doing episodes like this where you're just slating everything that happens, but there realistically isn't anything
what
to
else
kind of
can
look
you?
forward to.
There's nothing, mate. You've summed it up beautifully there. Do you know what I mean? I really don't care who's playing. Really, I'm the same as you. I'd throw the kids on. Really, I'd like to see maybe if we can play Bailey Rice or something. Just chuck him down there, man. As you say, two friendlies now until obviously the cup final. Um, but what else can you really what else can really be said? Obviously, we've said here. Aye, got nothing, mate. Got absolutely nothing else to say. Just as you
Nah,
say, it's the same shit every season, isn't it, man?
yeah, pretty much that is the perfect way to end it. It's the same shit every season. If we end it with a Scottish Cup and beating Celtic, it'll be a nice bonus at the end of the season. It'll probably give you a lot more hope than we're sitting we here at the moment to us maybe going on and doing something next season. I think the only positive that has came for this whole situation is Niels Coppins now in charge, and he hopefully, well, I think we know he has the vision for a player, the right kind of profile that we should be signing for the club, and I hope that becomes more normal. I really hope his recruitment is backed. I hope Clement is backed as well in the summer. But
So,
it's what's there to play with? Couple of a box of change or something. That's what it seems like. We've got
aye,
nothing to buy any players with. So there's going to be a lot of players obviously leaving, free contracts, loan deals, and whatever else, and we'll see where we go. But that'll be the next episode. That'll be tomorrow's episode. We're going to do the tier list. I think we were going to do last week the
team of the
SPFL team of the
season.
season. Maybe look at
Aye,
some other players and give our thoughts, but. I can't be asked with that anymore, to be honest
aye,
with you. The only thoughts I have as the players at the club, and if we want to keep Sell or whatever with them. So that'll be tomorrow's episode. Always a good episode to do that one. So, if you're interested, tune in tomorrow. And if you have any thoughts, obviously, on Rangers that differ from yours, I would find that quite hard, but leave them in the comments below, tweet us on Twitter, and we'll be back with another episode. So we'll see you then.